special friend, as another Shabbat has come to an end. Shavua Tov are the words we speak to say, may you have a happy week. Shavua Tov, may you have a good week. May you find the happiness you seek. Shavua Tov, may your week be fine. May it be as sweet as the Sabbath wine.
Last time.
Shavua Tov, may you have a good week. May you find the happiness you seek. Shavua Tov, may your week be fine. May it be as sweet as the Sabbath wine. Shavua Tov. Thank you. The lights are going to go down. You don't usually do it, but I'm happy to.
So there's a passage called
Second.
Hine El Yeshuati. Behold, God is my salvation. And we're going to sing that. It's traditional to do that before the actual blessings.
They'll play. Hine el Yeshuati avtach v'lo avchad, ki ozi v'zimrat Adonai v'yehi li Yeshua. Ushafte mayim b'sason mimaynei ha-Yeshua. L'Adonai ha-Yeshua al amacha v'chatecha sela. Adonai tzvot imanu miskav lanu Elohei Yaakov sela. Adonai tzvot ashrei adam boteach pach. Adonai Oshia melech yanenu v'yom korenu. La'Yehudim hayta ora v'simcha v'sason v'ikar kein tieh lanu. Kos Yeshua rasao v'shem Adonai ekra. Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 la. What do you want me to do? But it's okay. Thank you. It's okay. Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri agafen, borei peri agafen. Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la la. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. It's okay, you can leave it. You can leave it, it's really okay. Remine v'samim. It's not okay. La 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la la. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei meorei ha'esh, borei meorei ha'esh. Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la la. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamavdil ben kodesh lechor, ben or lechoshech, ben Yisrael amim, ben yom hashvi, l'sheshet yemei ha'maaseh. Baruch atah Adonai, hamavdil ben kodesh lechol. Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi, Bimhera v'yameinu, Yavo Elenu, Mashiach ben David, Mashiach ben David, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi. Shavua Tov, 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 Shavua Tov. A good week, a week of peace. May gladness reign and joy increase. A good week, a week of peace. May gladness reign and joy increase.
Shavua Tov.
Shavua Tov.
Hug somebody, kiss somebody, tuck somebody by you. Shavua Tov, everybody.
And the lights are going to go back on.
Okay. Yeah, we're good. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. I'm Nancy Gale. I'm the chair of the Torah Project Committee, and we're so glad that you're here to share this occasion with us. It's a very exciting time in the life of our congregation. When Rabbi Gibson announced his retirement several months ago, we wanted to honor his legacy of 32 years as our spiritual leader, teacher, and mentor. And we wanted to do it with something enduring and meaningful. In keeping with the values that he's taught us, we couldn't think of anything more fitting than writing a new Torah scroll dedicated to him. And in the continuing spirit of inspiration, innovation, and inclusion, we wanted that scroll to be written by a soferet, a female scribe. Now, I want to pause here for a minute and thank our committee for all of their hard work. There were a lot of people who worked very hard to make this project happen, and nobody worked any harder than Drew Barkley, our executive director, whose idea it was, in the first place, to do the project this way. We're very excited to begin the process of writing our new Torah this evening, and we hope that every member in our community will take part in it, whether it's sponsoring a word, a letter, a verse, or something else, or participating in some of the learning projects that will be going on throughout the year, and you'll be hearing more about those later this evening. Tonight, Rabbi Gibson and his family, some of our sponsors, and members of the committee will begin to write the first words in our new Torah. And I know that Rabbi Gibson has some words he wants to say, so I'll turn the mic over to him.
I have very few words I want to say except thank you. People have already been preliminarily saying goodbye, even though we have 7 months together. So I hope that we will put a stop on the tears and put on the smiles and the laughter and the joy. In a rabbi's life, there are certain things that are extraordinary. There are rabbis who never get to experience them. To start a congregation from scratch with all the energy that that involves. To put together a building to make a sacred space for God and to people to worship that God, to study our text, to live a full Jewish life, to start a Torah. Some of you know this because I've shared it in several other settings, that when I looked at some of my friends who are retiring, I saw how their congregations were honoring them with beautiful oil portraits and plaques with weighty words. And I looked at our leadership and said, no portraits, no plaques, but a living Torah. A Torah written by a female scribe, because we are about inclusion and egalitarianism. We are about the word of Torah being open to everyone who opens a scroll. And now to create that scroll with Linda Koppelson is not just a joy, it's an honor that we are dedicating ourselves to a higher purpose. We are going to participate with you in creating these letters that have sustained our people for thousands of years. It is one of the high points of my life, not just my career, to be able to do this with you. Mystical teaching says that behind every black letter is a white letter. The white letter contains the infinite meanings that every letter of Torah can convey. Whether it's the Shin of Shema, the Vav of Ve'ahavta, the Mem of Micha Mocha, the Bet of Bereshit, every letter an entire world of all 22 letters. So by writing a Torah, we not only create a world, we open a vista into all possible Jewish worlds. We're going on an incredible journey together, a journey of joy and hope, a journey of faith and commitment, a journey that roots us in our past, and yet 10 years from now, a bat mitzvah child is going to read from this Torah. And if you want me to feel honored for having served this congregation, nothing will give me a greater sense of joy and accomplishment. That this community, this Kehillah Kedoshah, this sacred community, dedicates itself to ongoing Torah, living its life, learning its words, and making its ideals real in a world that is desperate for authentic religious faith. It's very dangerous to give a rabbi a microphone. And that said, I simply circle back to where I started. In Hebrew, we say, Todah Rabbah, many, many thanks. To the oldest in the room who have been my teachers, to the youngest who have allowed me to teach them. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
We'll turn it over to you, Linda.
I actually have,
Do you have?
if it gets turned, oh, I guess it is turned on. So, you're going to write a Torah with me. It's the fulfillment of what our tradition says is the 613th mitzvah, commandment of the Torah. It says, Katav lachem et hashirah hazot, write for yourselves this song. Not only was Moshe Rabbeinu commanded in the book of Devarim, in the book of Deuteronomy, to write the words of Torah and place it in the ark, we as the Jewish people were commanded to write it as well, to put it in our hearts and in our mouths, and to teach it to our children. A very daunting instruction, to be sure, but in a very pragmatic recognition that not everybody is actually able to write a Torah themselves. The notion was put forth that writing even one letter of the Torah is like writing the entire Torah. And writing that one letter has come to symbolize the acceptance of Torah in our lives.
to participate in the writing of this Torah by holding my hand as I write, as many of you will do, I hope all of you will do over the course of the next year, will fulfill that 613th commandment. Experiencing this along with members of your community will surely help to strengthen the bonds you already have with your friends and family in the Temple Sinai community. We call Torah an Eitz Chaim, a tree of life for the Jewish people. It's a very powerful image, the tree, with roots and branches and leaves, ever growing and evolving and shading and protecting and nourishing. It contains our history, our law, our worldview, our blueprint for living. We read it all year long, every year, over and over again, to keep learning it and learn from it. We keep it in an Aron Kodesh, a holy closet, to separate it, like we did in Havdalah, to separate it from the ordinary things, because it's not ordinary. It's kadosh. It is holy. We write it on parchment made from the skin of a kosher animal, processed with the express purpose of writing Torah on it. We write it with ink made from ancient recipes, with a quill made from a feather, using an alphabet, a font, that has been used for 2,000 years. Each time I sit down to write, I make a verbal declaration that I'm about to embark on writing a Sefer Torah. And I'm writing that Sefer Torah because of the holiness of Torah. It is a declaration of intent, recognizing that I am not about to write a shopping list or a letter or any other mundane thing. I approach writing with the awareness, with the kavanah, the intent, that Torah is unlike anything else. Even the rollers that we attach it to, we call Atzei Chaim, trees of life, to remind us what Torah means to us, the foundational text of our faith and the anchor for our lives as Jews. You are writing this Torah to celebrate the retirement of Rabbi Gibson. I have yet to really come to know him, and I hope I will over the next year. But because you have chosen to honor him in this way, I already know that he has been, over these last decades, an Eitz Chaim for you, a source of learning and a dugma, an example of menschlichkeit and ma'asim tovim. You are embracing the tradition of writing a Torah in the way it has been written for over 2,000 years. Yet you have commissioned me, a woman, a non-traditional Jewish ritual scribe, not a sofer, but a soferet, to write it for you. So I want to offer a question. If it's appropriate today, in the 21st century, in a nod to modern sensibilities about gender equality and acknowledgement of the evolutionary quality of halakha, or Jewish law, to accept that a woman who traditionally, according to that Jewish law, is not eligible, not even eligible to write holy books or sifrei stam, then why not? Why not also embrace 21st century technology to create a Torah? Why not write it on beautiful paper, aided by a computer, or perhaps in an English translation so everyone can understand it, or simply project the text on a screen on Shabbat or holidays for all to read, or simply to concede that it is much more efficient, economically prudent, and ecologically sound to place in our arks a book of the Torah, printed and bound like so many other precious books. What is it about the parchment scroll that compels us to perpetuate its use and to provide me with work? I would ask you to consider, to answer that question, another document that we as Americans regard with a sense of history and even reverence, the Declaration of Independence. When we go to Philadelphia to visit the Liberty Bell, or we go to the National Archives in Washington and we buy a copy of the Declaration, we're usually given a facsimile on yellowed parchment-like paper, printed with an 18th century font, a copy of the document that was written by hand in 1776. We see the large signature of John Hancock and the scrawled smaller signatures of the other signers. Even when we see a picture of the Declaration in history books, it's often a picture of what it looked like at the time that it was written. So what's the effect of seeing an authentic version of the Declaration of Independence? I think the effect is to answer questions about those heady early days of our country. Who were those founding fathers? When we see the document, it helps us to imagine what they were thinking, what they believed, what drove them, what their lives were like. To see that document in its sort of original form is to place ourselves in that time and place, and the document itself becomes elevated to a lofty place in the founding narrative of our country and people. And that's what writing Torah on parchment, bound to Atzei Chaim and rolled into a scroll, creates for us. It creates a visual, virtual, and a visceral tie to the founding narrative and enduring story of our people, the Jewish people. I hope this Torah will bring you closer as a congregation and strengthen your attachment to the very long history of a people who depend on the tree of life that is the Torah. I hope that this beginning, this Breshit, will be a new beginning for you and a renewal of the spirit that created this congregation, and a lasting testament to the loving leadership of Rabbi Gibson. I'd like to add a personal note about what writing Torah, and in particular writing this Torah, means to me. I did not become a Soferet because of to make some feminist statement. Well, at least not totally. I started to learn Sofrut because it seemed to be the right next step in my own Jewish evolution. I grew up in a synagogue in Newark, New Jersey, where I became a bat mitzvah, laning Torah and chanting Haftarah on a Shabbat morning, when it was a true rarity for girls to do that. I credit my mother, who taught me that I shouldn't let the boys, or anyone for that matter, bully me or prevent me from doing what I wanted, for bringing me to a place where there were no gender boundaries for girls. Growing up in that place, it never occurred to me that there were religious barriers to the roles that women could play in Jewish life. I just didn't know. That wasn't my experience until I went away to college. And later, when I grew up and I married, my husband and I found a synagogue that was an early pioneer in egalitarian participation within the conservative movement. It was there that I learned that being Jewish is not a passive practice, and that I felt most connected to being a Jew when I read Torah or led services or taught a class, when I did something. So it was with that background that I decided that I needed to bring together two things that gave me much pleasure: teaching and calligraphy. I had been teaching Tanakh and Jewish history in a day school for many years, and I had also taught myself Hebrew and later English calligraphy, and I wrote ketubot and painted them and decorated them as an avocation for friends and family. To bring those two parts of my Jewish life together, I decided to find a teacher who would teach me to be a Soferet. As I return here over the course of the next year, I look forward to sharing with you my journey to become a scribe. But I want to add one final note. A little over 2 months ago, I lost my husband, Victor. He was my biggest cheerleader and supporter as I wrote 5 Sifrei Torah. And this is the first time I'll be undertaking a new Torah without him. It was my habit to bring him the pages I had written to show them to him. Not because I wanted to show off, because I knew he was proud of me, and I knew that he was proud of what I was doing. So now I'll bring you my pages, and I hope I will make you proud as well. And so Yasher Koach to all of you, and I hope this is the beginning of a really wonderful relationship and friendship. Thank you. Thank you.
Very moving.
Thank you. Okay. I go up here now. Yeah. Through here. Okay. Okay. So,
Why
yes.
don't we share our talit?
Absolutely. Okay. So here it is, the first page. Here is the first page. On the first page, there are only 3 columns. Most of the pages in the Torah, in this Torah at least, have 4 columns. But because the space that would be the place to write another column is reserved to be the place, the edge where we attach it to the rollers, we start in a little bit further, and the page is a little bit longer. What I'd like to do before we actually start is I'd like for all of those who are going to participate, and actually all of you can say this with me. I mentioned when I spoke before that I make a declaration of my intent to be writing Torah. And so I'd like you all to repeat this sentence after me, this kavanah after me, and I will then explain to you what you've just said. Hareini. And all of the men will say kotev, and the women will say kotevet. Torah, hazot, l'shem, kedushat, haTorah. And you said, I am writing this Torah for the sake of the holiness of Torah. So, another thing that I do, lots of rituals. Before I actually start to write, and it's actually just kind of a way of practice to make sure that my first letter is going to be as it should be, I always write the word Amalek before I start writing. And I write the word Amalek because Amalek is the eternal enemy of the Jewish people. And we are instructed because the tribe of Amalek had attacked the Israelites when they left Egypt, and they attacked them in the desert. But what was the most heinous part of their attack was that they attacked from the rear, where there were the stragglers, the women, the children, the sick, the elderly, and took advantage of the Israelites in that way rather than fighting those who were capable and able. And so we are told in Torah that we are to blot out the name of Amalek. But at the same time, we should never forget what Amalek did to us. It's kind of a conundrum there. How do you remember but yet blot out? So I write the word Amalek, and then I cross it out, symbolically blotting out Amalek. Ayin. Lamed. And Kuf. And then I cross it out. So there. So, why don't you come, one of you should sit, Rabbi, sit here, and then you can hold onto my shoulder, okay? All right. And I copy from a tikkun. It's the same kind of a tikkun from which you learn a portion of Torah to read. The only difference is that I have, and I don't know that you can actually see it, I don't think you can from the screen there, but I have, along the margin of the page, there are some little really light lines in light ink, and that tells me how long the line is, how many letters there are in that line. And that's the guide for a sofer to be able to make the spacing as even as possible. So we're going to start writing the letter Bet, which is the first letter. And the first letter is larger than all of the other letters. Okay. And I'm starting right here. Most of the letters, there are 7 letters in the Hebrew alphabet that are decorated with crowns. The Bet is not one of them. But because it is the first letter, I'm going to decorate it with not 1, not 3, but 4 tagin, 4 crowns. Koch. Who's next?
Who's next?
Shalom Aleichem. Before, they had the camera aimed down at the page. Did they have it? Did they have it while I was writing?
Yeah, but I think that Rabbi Gorban wanted to see if she could get it a little closer.
Oh. Okay. Okay.
How are we doing this?
Well, which of you would you like to sit? Royal purple shirt. Okay, so the next letter in the word Bereshit is a resh. So if you will hold my wrist, I will write that letter, and you hold my shoulder. That's it. That's it. Hi. You are? Hi. 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 Nice to meet you. So, yes, you can. Okay. The next letter is the letter Aleph, the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Thank you. Hi.
Phyllis Baskin.
Hi, Phyllis.
Phyllis, yes.
Hi.
Sit.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
How long does it take you to write the Torah?
About a year, a little more. Mm-hmm. The next letter is the letter Sheen.
Where do I put it?
Put your hand right here on my wrist. Okay. Yashikah.
Okay, I'm going to say something first.
Sure.
Is this, you can hear me? People can hear me anyway. I will, yes, it's on. I have a loud voice. I have the opportunity to say a few words tonight because for most people who get to do this, it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. And it's feeling like that a little bit, but I am blessed to have had this experience once before. And I thought I'm very happy to be able to share that experience. WRJ, Women of Reformed Judaism, wrote a Torah, commissioned the writing of a Torah for our organization from 1999 until 2001. We began at one biennial and finished at the other biennial. And it was such an incredible experience. Spiritually, it was, and I can, in case you can't tell, I'm already shaky. It's an amazing experience to be connected to our text and our tradition in this very physical way. It's also an amazing experience, as we've already learned, to learn. I've learned so much about Judaism and our tradition and the Torah itself in these experiences, and just tonight I've learned even more, so thank you. And it enables us, when I did this with WRJ, it enabled me to connect with my sisters all over North America, my community, and I feel incredibly blessed to share this with my husband tonight and with my Temple Sinai community, to do this, to connect to all of you, to connect to everyone in this community in honor of my rabbi, who has pushed me, pulled me, and held my hand on a more than 20-year Jewish journey. And so I'm very blessed to be able to do this in your honor and to be part of this community. There's a ceremony when the Torah is finished that we'll all get to be part of. It's called a siyum. And in 2001, when WRJ finished our Torah, we unrolled it, and we all got to hold it, and you're not supposed to touch the scroll. And I still have my gloves from 2001 of when I got to hold our WRJ Torah, which still lives in New York and travels around North America to many events, still connecting all of us. And I hope I get to see the day when my grandchildren gets to read from this particular scroll. So thank you for sharing this.
Okay.
Okay.
So, okay, why don't you come back and you'll hold my shoulder, okay? And your letter is the letter Yud, the smallest letter of the alphabet, but probably one of the most important ones. The first letter of God's name, the Yud He Vav He, and even though it's a small letter, it has a lot of different elements to it. You have to be very careful that you make it short enough so that you don't confuse it with a vav, and that it curves around just slightly so that you don't have the temptation to make it straight and to go down. So, put your hand here. All right.
Excellent, Yud.
Okay. Okay. There you are. Your turn. Okay. So your letter is the final taf of the word Bereshit. Here. Put your hand on my shoulder. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Feel like we're old friends already. Hi. Hi. Either way, whichever is easier for you.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. So you have the first letter of the second word of the Torah, which is a bet. The second word is bara, which means created. And it's only in the context of God's creation that we use the word bara.
Thank you.
Shakach. Hi. Hi.
Tell you, we both love that you're left-handed.
Yes. Yay. Actually, being left-handed is an advantage to writing Hebrew. Because, as you can see, I don't have to cover the letters, smear the letters with my hand as I'm writing. But interestingly enough, Talmud tells us that left-handed people should not write Torah. But the interpretation of that is a little less malevolent, I guess. There's always been, I guess, sort of negative connotations about lefties. It's the opposite of like being righteous, and but it's been interpreted to mean that if you are right-handed, then you should not write with your left hand because it will not be as beautiful as when you're writing with your dominant hand. And similarly with a lefty, I should not write with my right hand. You wouldn't want that anyway. So your letter is an aleph, a resh. Second letter is the resh. There you go. Thank you. Okay. Let's hear it for lefties.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. What's your name? Hi, Rachel. Hi. Hi.
Hi, I'm Mike.
Hi, Mike. Nice to meet you. And the last letter of the word bara, meaning create, is an aleph. That's right. Bereshit bara.
Thank you.
Okay. You should go. Okay. And because this is the beginning of something that most of you have never done before, it is certainly appropriate for all of us to say L'Shechianu. Ah. Okay. Okay.
Hello, everyone. We've started a few new efforts that we hope will spread awareness and excitement about the writing of our new Torah in honor of Rabbi Jamie. Firstly, you may have noticed the display case at the Krieger entrance where you came in tonight. We've got a bunch of bottles filled with pennies, so I'll tell you what that's all about. We're collecting a penny for every letter in the Torah, so that's 304,805 pennies. They'll fill about 380 water bottles full. Each bottle has about $8 worth of pennies in it. So keep an eye on our progress out front, and please donate on the way out if you have any pennies to put in the jar. Our school, our religious school kids have really started us off strong there. We've collected 27,200 pennies since the beginning of September, so we're on a good start now. Next, we wanted to acknowledge that each day we all perform acts that the Torah teaches us. These could be acts of loving kindness, righteous giving, repairing the world, or even keeping one of the mitzvot. These moments aren't planned. They come from acting on our Jewish values that we've learned from Torah. We challenge you to perform at least one random act of Torah each day and share as many of them with us as you can. We've got a short video to share with you of the unveiling of the interactive artwork we have, and I'll explain how it's going to work after we roll the video. Hi everyone, my name is Mike Colora, and I'm excited to be here today for the official unveiling of our artwork that's going to be the focus to try and generate buzz around our project to write a new Torah in honor of Rabbi Gibson. I have member and local expressionist artist Kara Snyder with us today. Kara, why don't you help us with the reveal, and then I'll turn it over to you to give a few words about our new painting here.
Okay,
All right.
Sounds great.
1, 2, 3.
Woohoo!
Great, that's beautiful. All right.
Great. So let me tell you a little about the painting. I could go on and on about it, but I'll be brief. There's obvious symbolism of the tree of life here, but there's many different levels of symbolism with this painting for the Torah project. If you want to read about it, there's signage to the left of the painting when you come look at it that will explain more. I'm also very happy to answer any questions. But I wanted to, the name of the painting is The Arms of Torah, which refers to our arms embracing the Torah physically, as well as arms reaching up for new learning and inspiration as we study Torah. And I included the cycle of the day in the background with sunset, daylight, evening colors to represent the cycle of the day and the cycle of Jewish life events and so on, and as the Torah guides us through all of that. So if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to share my thinking behind it. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. It's a beautiful piece.
Thank you.
And so this piece is meant to be interactive. So we're going to have a clear cover that you can put sticky notes with your random acts of Torah on top of it to complete our tree with your leaves. Thank you very much. Thank you. So you may have noticed we've been handing out cards with little bracelets on them. This is to remind you of the different acts of Torah that you do each day. Come and share them with us and be leaves on our tree of life. If you didn't grab any of those cards on the way in, they're in the baskets where we keep the kippot in the hallways, and we'll be giving them out as the year goes on. These cards, they'll have some other ideas to help you along the way if you want to identify the types of acts that we would consider acts of Torah. Like I said, the acrylic cover is coming, and we'll be able to put the sticky leaves over top of them. If you'd like to fill out any tonight, you can find one of us that were in the front or a staff person and fill out one with them, and we'll collect them and put them on whenever the cover comes. Please help us celebrate 32 years of Rabbi Jamie teaching us Torah by showing him and all of Temple Sinai how we live our Jewish values through random acts of Torah. Thank you.
So if anyone would like to be able to take a closer look at what was written tonight, you're welcome to come up and take a peek. Sofara Koppelson, her next visit after she goes back tomorrow, she'll be back in February, so there are appointments then if you would like to sponsor and write, so please sign up, and welcome to come and celebrate with some desserts in the auditorium afterwards. So thank you all very much for being here.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei minei mizonot. Praise you, Adonai, our God, ruler of all, who makes dessert. It's back there. Shavuot Tov.